Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We will be in this series of lectures talking in an informal manner on some crucial issues. We begin with first lecture, and that relates with our understanding of Islam. All over the world, people who claim to be Muslims believe in the Quran, in the Prophet, in the Day of Judgment, and that's why they call themselves Muslims. Nevertheless, when you ask a man in the street, what do you mean by Islam? You get many responses. We'll try to find out what are these common responses and what the Quran and Sunnah tell us about this very important and crucial subject on which our whole vision of life depends. Therefore, to begin with, let's try to find out what is a Western image of Islam. Normally, you will find that West talks about Islam as a religion of certain race, certain ethnicity, or certain territory. Because Western mindset categorizes and classifies religions, human beings on either racial basis or territorial basis, or simply on the basis of comparing their culture with their own culture and claiming that the so-called Western culture is the most developed, advanced culture, and others are somehow backward. Therefore, Islam and Muslims have been understood by the West first and foremost as a backward-looking religion. I would like to emphasize that they think Islam is religion, and same is with many Muslims. They add to it and think it's a religion of Arabs, Turks, Persians, and nowadays a religion of terrorists. And therefore, their whole understanding is based on a basic misconception. Second, they regard Islam not after 9/11, but for past 2 centuries as a religion of violence, militancy, extremism, aggression, and particularly they think it's a religion which has been spread with sword, with force. Therefore, they think Muslims go to people and they offer either accept the book or we behead you, we kill you. Now this is second major image of Islam in the mind of the West. You hear nowadays that after 9/11 there has been a continuous misunderstanding on the part of the West that Islam is militancy. It's not correct. From the time of medieval Europe, you find Western mind always considered Islam as a matter of militancy, because they had in their memories their own so-called holy wars of crusade, and they thought Islam was also a spread as they tried to spread their faith through crusade. Thirdly, and again it's a very big misconception, a major misconception, West considers Islam as a religion which is very much unfair to women. And for that, I'll just touch on the headings, I'll not go in details. They think that since Islam allows polygamy and does not allow women to have more than one husband, it's unfair. They think Since in Islamic law or in the Quran you find a mention that a boy gets twice the share of a girl, therefore Islamic law of inheritance is unfair to women. They think that in legal matters, Islamic Sharia courts usually talk about male witnesses, and therefore women are not regarded equal in terms of legal evidence to Muslims, and again unfair. They also think that Islam does not permit Muslims to have a female head of state, and consequently it does not treat them equal and therefore unfair. They also think that Islam allows Muslims to have kings, dictators, despotic rulers, and therefore Islam is against democracy. Democracy for them is the ideal, rather idol, a kind of idol for them which they think has to be worshipped by everyone. Having said that, and I'm not going to go in details, I'm just touching on the headings which exist in the minds of a Westerner about Islam. In the series of discussions, we will take many of these issues individually. Let's see what is Muslims' vision of Islam. You will find Muslims also have some very interesting visions. One idea in the minds of Muslims is that Islam is a matter of religious practices. Therefore, it's a matter of rituals and ceremonies. If you are offering your prayer, if you are making your fast, if you are observing Mawlid an-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you are observing on the night of power, Muslims all over the world in Laylatul Qadr, vigil, reciting Quran, making nawafil, then Islam is safe, because Islam means following these things. While you have done that, it doesn't matter if you are stealing money of your brother by depriving him in inheritance. Nothing wrong if you are unfair to your daughter, to your sister, because this is the custom of Africa, custom of Asia, custom of Europe. You are following the customary practices. So long you are making your Hajj, you are a very good Muslim, although your source of income might be drug trade. That is business. This is religion. Therefore, in the mind of Muslims, one understanding is Islam is like Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, a religion in which if you observe some days, some practices, you are perfectly okay. A second approach in the minds of Muslims is whether you are making your prayers and Hajj and your fasting, it is all a matter between you and your God. And therefore, if you want to be more close to Him, then don't worry about these externalities, these apparent things. If I go to masjid, people see me going to masjid and they think I am a very religious person. But if I am all the time remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not going for prayer, I am not showing off, no one knows, but I am safe. Therefore, if I take care of spirituality, then Islam is a matter of spirituality. A young girl, when he goes out in the street with improper dress, with lots of perfume and cosmetics, only Allah knows in her heart how good she is. Maybe she is better than you. Therefore, spirituality, which you cannot see, but which may be in your heart, is the real essence of Islam. You find many Muslims saying, some people follow Sharia, the apparent law, but we follow Tariqah, the inner dimension of Islam. And particularly in past 5 decades, European scholarship and many Muslims have come up with dozens of academic works which tell Muslims and non-Muslims Islam is like Buddhism, a matter of spirituality. Peace, no violence, no need for political struggle, but you struggle with your own self. Clean your heart, everything will be okay. Third approach that exists in the minds of many Muslims is that Islam is a matter of implementation of certain legal injunctions. And for that they think, if in a country or in a province of a country, some people take over legal system and they start whipping people, they start stoning people, they start hanging people because they have done something wrong, maybe a murder, maybe a rape. If this law is implemented, then Islam is safe. If you have cut hand of thief, then you have Sharia in your country. Although you may be an army dictator, a king who would like to appoint his brother or his son on the people without taking their opinion, without knowing whether he is a pious person or a bad person. You may have kingship in the country, perfectly okay, because you are cutting hands of thief. Therefore, you are Islamic country. A fourth concept in the minds of Muslims is that Islam is no different than other religions which are very much personal. It takes care of your personal salvation. If you follow it properly, you will be saved. Therefore, they think it's a matter of individual salvation. Don't worry about what's happening in society. If some people are corrupt, if some people are oppressing others politically, economically, don't worry about that. Just take care of your own business. You will go to your grave, not to other person's grave. So why you want to bother? Therefore, just live a comfortable life, let people suffer, let the poor become more poor, let the oppressor suck the blood of people, but take care of your salvation, your own salvation. For them, Islam is no different than Christianity. Therefore, if you in your home run a casino, the neighbor should not be bothered at all. You may have a den of evil in your home. It's not his problem, it's your problem. He should keep his prayers to himself and you keep your evil to yourself. No worry about the neighbor. No concept of social good, no concept of welfare, no concept of obligation, just individual salvation. Therefore, you find people giving long sermons. If you become my disciple, make a pledge with me, you will go to Jannah. Just purify yourself, you will be okay. So these are just 4 typical kind of approaches that exist in the minds of Muslims themselves. Then what is Islam? How we define Islam? Who is a Muslim? What Islamic vision, what Islam wants to see in people? For that, we have no other way but to go back to the Quran and Sunnah, the two original sources, and try to find out what do they say about what Islam stands for. First and foremost, the Quran and Sunnah tell us that Islam stands for liberation from dogmatism, from blind belief, from just following your forefathers, just trying to copy others. It wants its followers to first and foremost cultivate knowledge. Knowledge is the basis, not dogma, not blind belief. But the Quran on every page asks a believer to look into it, think about it, ponder, and come up with a very critical analysis of whatever is said by the Quran. Secondly, it talks about universal humanity, universal values. It does not say it has come for Israelites, for Indians, for Arabs, for blacks, for whites, but provides universal values. Values which a black as well as a white can follow and succeed. And whoever may be a rich or a poor may refuse and get lost. Therefore, its values are universal. Thirdly, Islam stands for liberation from exploitative and oppressive systems. Capitalism, Marxism, utilitarianism, materialism, you think of any oppressive systems. And Islam stands for a liberation from these exploitative systems. At the same time, it stands for liberation from a number of finitude, a number of bondages, a number of limitations, a number of man-made ideologies, such as the ideology of blood, that if you carry in your blood genes of a black man, a white man, a yellow man, then you are one people. All blacks of the world unite. All whites of the world unite. All Aryans unite. The concept that your blood, your color, your ethnicity carries importance. It is a rebellion against these concepts. Whoever calls for unity of the blacks, whites, unity of some ethnic people, of a tribe, is defined by the Quran as someone calling for jahiliyyah, for ignorance. You have to liberate yourselves from your color of skin, from your language, from your blood relationship, and become a citizen of the world, universal humanity. Therefore, it liberates from bondage of blood, language, color, and race. At the same time, bondage of culture. Whatever may be your local culture, you may come from the heart of Africa, you may come from the frozen Iceland, you may come from anywhere. Your culture is not your God. You have to find out what are the true values on which a culture has to develop. With that kind of liberation, it comes and tells us that Islam is not a religion, but Islam is deen. So the Quran says, Inna deena indallahi al-Islam. The Quran says, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum Islam deena. It does not call itself religion. Unfortunately, 99% Muslims of the world, in their passport columns, in their local documents, they put religion as Islam. Religion means in Arabic mazhab. And mazhab, which is an Arabic term, has not been used even once in the Quran or Sunnah. On 98 places, this term, deen, appears in the Quran. Not a single place where mazhab is used by Quran or Hadith. Yet you find the Muslims defining themselves as following religion of Islam, not deen of Islam. Deen is much more comprehensive than the term mazhab. Mazhab means rituals and ceremonies. Mazhab means worship and belief. But deen is much more than that. Deen is not a matter of just few rituals, but a matter of total life. Therefore, unfortunately, majority of Muslims as well as most of Westerners, about which we talked a while ago, they understand by Islam as something which in their view is religion. What is the meaning of deen? Deen, first and foremost, is not religion in the Western or Eastern connotation. Second, it stands for ubudiyya or servitude of only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That none of the authorities around you are valid. Legitimacy belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He alone is the legal, political, economic sovereign. He alone tells you what to do in your life. Your economic interest, political affiliations, tribal affiliations are meaningless. Thirdly, all authority in society and state belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your social customs, political philosophy, your authorities around you have no power. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has to be understood as the only authority. For that, in Surah Yusuf, the Quran tells us that hukum or authority belongs to Allah alone. Inal hukmu illa lillah. Amar Allah ta'budu illa iyyah. Zalika dinul qayyim. Dinul qayyim is that in which Allah has been taken as sovereign, authority, final judge in all matters. Second, when social justice is realized, then you find deen is established. Therefore, in Surah Al-Anfal, the Quran says, and go and fight with them until fitna is eliminated and deen is all for Allah. وَيَكُونَ الدِّينُ كُلُّهُ لِلَّهِ. It is not saying make your salat and siyam and now deen is complete, but telling you go and fight against oppression. When social justice is established, then your deen is complete. The Quran has not kept things vague, but made it very clear. The problem is Muslims never read the Quran and never try to understand it. Then it tells us that deen is also a matter of legal system. And therefore, in Surah An-Nur, the Quran says that when you want to implement the punishment for zina, for male or female, nothing should keep you from deen of Allah. Legal implementation is part of deen. And therefore, if you are not implementing Islamic law, then you are not following deen in totality. To summarize, Islam stands for total social change, total change in society, change in your social customs, traditions, norms, and values. It stands for integration in life. You cannot have two compartments, one for religion, one for your professional activity. If you are a lawyer, you accept a fee and defend a criminal. It's your profession. When you go to masjid, you say, Allah, I love you. I want justice. When you are in your market, sitting with your friends, you do hoarding, hold back commodities of people, make a price hike, and make 3 times money. When you go to masjid, say, Allah, give me halal rizq. 2 compartments. One where money and profit is your God. That's what you call your worldly activity. Deen wa dunya. 2 terms used by Muslims. There is no separate dunya than deen. If your economy is run on dunya, that you want to make as much money as you want, whether halal or haram, then not following your deen at all. Therefore, integration. You cannot have 2 separate quarters of life. When you are in the parliament, you are a champion of democracy. When back in your village, you are a tyrant. All those who are poor, not so wealthy people are your slaves. You don't talk with them even in nice language. Treat them like non-entities. Therefore, integration life. Thirdly, realization of social justice. The Quran says, haven't you seen the person who belies his deen, yukazzibu bid-deen? By doing what? Not by absenting from prayer, but by not feeding the hungry, not taking care of yatim, the orphan. Which means your social responsibilities are part of your deen. It's not just a matter of rituals and worship. And lastly, it brings peace in your personal life, in your social life, in your political life, and therefore deen is not a matter of what people think as religion. It is a matter of total way of life. This is very briefly a rundown on what Islam stands for, which is our first discourse in a series of lectures and interaction with you on contemporary issues that relate with our life. Any questions, please?
Brothers, those are some main traditions and questions. Can raise them, but I think
Just feel free about your questions. Yes, 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 please.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
First of all, we should thank Professor for this comprehensive piece of lecture. Then my question, okay, I'm from Kenya,
Mm.
and we are currently people are almost conducting the election of electing our leaders, that is after 5 years. And there is a sort of conflict between the Muslim community. There are some who say that we should not participate in electing the leaders because that is democracy, which is unbelievable. And there are some feel that we can participate. Why? Because it is through electing leaders whom we feel they fit to be there that we can maybe have weight in this government, or we can effect change in this government as a Muslim community. So I would just like from brother to shed light on this.
First of all, any problems dealing with a country or a place are best known by the people there. I do not have full knowledge about your specific situation. I can only talk about general principles which need to be kept in mind. Therefore, whether it is Kenya or anywhere else, if you want to bring a change in society, then change must come through institutional change, not individual change. No one in any part of the world denies your individual right to make your prayer in your home, stay awake whole night in your home and pray to Allah or praise Brahma or praise Yahweh. No one stops you from that. But the problem is institutional. When you are out of your home and you want to have an economy which is fair, a political system where you have people's views fully considered. So without institutional change, you cannot have even your personal life properly taken care. Islam wants this change. Islam is not a matter of just your personal purification. So far as the concept of democracy is concerned, you are right. What we call Western secular democracy is a concept developed in certain parts of the world with basic assumption that people alone are the authority. But that was qualified. And historically, it was not people. It was elite, a group of people who exercise authority. In Greek concept of democracy as well as in the Western concept of democracy, there are pockets and groups which manipulate democracy. Although in books you read that democracy means majority of people deciding a matter, but it's never majority, it's always certain pockets who manipulate the whole system. Practically it's not democracy, although you call democracy. In Islam, it's not a matter of just number of people, but whether something is in the interest of humanity and in conformity with the desire and wish of the Creator. On that, if you have consensus of all people, well and good. Even if you don't have it, then the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of its supremacy, prevails. That's where difference lies. Sovereignty belongs to Allah means if the 90% population of a country says smoking is very good for health, and the Quran tells you don't kill yourself with your hand, and medical research tells you that what you carry in your fingers and smoke is a poison, then 90% of people make no difference. These two things will be the final, not the number of people. If 90% of people say that if you drink champagne, beer and whatnot, you will have better health, and one Quranic ayah says in liquor you have dirt and therefore abstain. And all medical tests tell you it is one major cause of liver cancer. Then your 90% people makes no difference to me. Therefore, Islamic concept of decision making is different than democratic concept. Nevertheless, when you want to bring change, how to bring change? By bloodshed, by sleeping in your home, or by ending the system and through the system bringing a change. What's logical, rational? To the best of my understanding, you find in the Quran Sayyidina Yusuf telling the ruler who was a tyrant and a dictator that if you allow me and give me authority, I will make your country better. He did not say, first I will kill you, declare Islamic State, then I will start working for it. And therefore, it is quite possible that people may enter a system in order to change it, not to become part of it, but to change it. So long as you have the intention of changing that system, making it better for people, bringing Islamic concepts there, you are not accountable for the wrongs of others. Therefore, some of our writers who consider Islam and other systems as completely exclusive, their views are not fully supported by the Quran and Sunnah. Kufr is definitely a millah wahida. Islam is something different. But when you want to bring Islam anywhere, you shall have to go through an intermediary phase. Without that, you cannot make the system change. Forget about your country where you may have 60% Muslims. Think you are in a country where 90% people are non-Muslims and secular, and you want ultimately Islam there. What should you do? Leave the country? Never benefit from their electricity, from their water, from their roads? Nothing, because it's all done by kufr system. Go to a forest, live there. Or you will be part of the society and you will use whatever Allah has given you, your knowledge, your intelligence, your resources, to convince people, brothers, we are living here, you are in majority, but look, this system is wrong. Let's change it. And when they say, okay, we want to change it, you want to come and participate? Yes, I will come and participate and I will help you in that. This is your jihad in doing that. And ultimately, a day may come when perhaps not you, but your grandchildren will see that day when things have changed. You think Islam came only for places where Muslims are in majority? It's foolishness. Islam came for the whole of humanity, which means even where you have 99% kufr and 1% Islam, you have a potential to change the system. Now you have to use your wisdom how to do it. What does the Quran and Hadith tell us about it? How can we, based on Quran and Sunnah, make a strategy? Does not mean you just make a fatwa that democracy is haram and therefore let's stay in homes and let the shaitan rule the country. This is short-sightedness, lack of Islamic understanding. It is not based on Quran and Sunnah.
Thank you very much. On the definition of what Islam stands for,
Yes.
I'm particularly concerned with the Muslim vision of Islam. And I would like to see how we can marry this vision, that of the view of the Quran and then the Hadith, where the deen standing for total social change and
Yes.
the rest. I want to see how the Muslim vision can be married with this view that has been expressed by the Quran and then the Sunnah. I want to see how we can relate to that, because from your facts that you've given, we have different opinion relating to the Muslims in terms of what Islam stands for.
You know, what I have tried to share with you is that if we try to categorize or group how Muslims think about Islam, we can summarize those in these four typologies, four kind of approaches. The fact of the matter is, in my last part of presentation, I showed you that the Quran says Deen is not confined to one single thing. Therefore, political change is part of Deen. Legal change is part of Deen. But to say that if in a country you cut the hand of thief but leave the princes and rulers to become as much rich as they want, is that Islam? Islam means if you are cutting hand of thief, also cut the hand of the robber who is white collar robber. Those who are oppressing, exploiting are equally criminals. Okay? Which means the Islamic law is an important part of Deen, but not Deen as such. Unfortunately, in many Muslim countries, rulers who are smart, they say, we are implementing cutting of hand, which means our rule is Islamic. While they are kings and dictators, they legitimize their kingship by declaring cutting of hand of thief. And that is not Islamic approach. Islam wants justice for all. And therefore, first and foremost, those kings and rulers should be put in law court to answer who allowed them to use money of people on their personal aggrandizement. Similarly, I mentioned that Islam in the minds of Muslims means if you have only spirituality, you have succeeded. The Quran talks on every page about tazkiyah of nafs, but not tazkiyah of nafs in the sense of going to forest or to a cave, but tazkiyah of nafs in the battleground of jihad, in the battleground of economic war, in the battleground of cultural war, It is not confined to one single area. You do tazkiyah of nafs in your society, in your economy, in your political system. So it's not a matter of just reciting a few names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and counting them, that I have counted the name 1,000,000 times, now I am spiritually more stronger. That is not what Islam wants, but Islam wants your inner purity to be reflected in your dealings, in your transactions with people. If those are weak, if huququl ibad are violated, although you think that you are observing haqq of Allah by pronouncing His name from morning till night, then something wrong with your deen. Deen means totality. Deen means putting all these things together. Your spiritual, material, legal, economic, political aspects, all under one single rule of Islam. Therefore, Islam stands for that integration, as I said, that unity which I referred, where your whole life becomes a totality. Is that clear? 3 questions. Yes.
Now, I want to let Islam and the Islamic form of life and leadership. Now, relating Islam principles and leadership. Now, for instance, the societies we live in are such that you're supposed to campaign, ask for votes before you get into leadership. But according to Islamic principles, you're not supposed to go out there and tell people, please do this. How do we?
Okay. Second question. Yes.
I'm also in the same category of legal issues, considering countries which have given themselves names like
Yeah.
countries,
Yeah.
etc. You find that those leaders have come to power through means which are not quite
Yes.
Islamic.
Yes.
That's one part I want to ask about it. And at the same situation, you have people doing Islamic movements, and they consider themselves that through going around and preaching, then they are able to bring about a social change without touching about the political system, the economic, and whatever. Now, I want to combine the two. The first part here of such kind of people. Now, is it legal for them to apply the Islamic law, even though they have come through different kind of such kind of means?
Yeah.
And what would you advise the second group of people that are
Okay. Third question. Which was third question? I don't know. There were 3 questions. Yeah.
I wanted to look at the general welfare of Muslims.
Louder.
General welfare of Muslims, maybe 50 years from now, backwards, not from the 9/11. Look at countries where Muslims are majority, for example, in Africa, North Africa, Morocco, right? And we have got in Asia, like let's say Indonesia, places where there are a lot of Muslims. And you'll find that looking at those people as majority, we expected that maybe there would be an example of Islam in those places. But generally, you see that even 50 years ago, you find that the people, maybe they segmented their life. They had maybe a set, because you say it's integrated, but you find that there was a bridge. Islam on the other side and the other aspect. Now, my worry is, after 9/11, you find that even those Muslims who were practicing Muslims are sliding backwards because they're so being afraid. And my point is that maybe if someone can be asked to say, are you a Muslim? By a soldier, can easily say, I'm not a Muslim. So how do you look at our way forward as Muslims?
Very, very good question. See, for your question, Hadith tells us very clearly that you should not seek authority for yourself. Therefore, the Prophet says, if someone asks us to make him authority, a civil servant. We never give him that. Which means if you are aspiring yourself, but if a community comes to you and says that we consider you as a person who can serve us, who can lead, we need your help, then Islam never stops you from that. Because the Quran says, أَن تُوَدُّ الْأَمَانَاتِ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهَا. Give trust to people who are ahl of it. And if a person who is ahl, qualified and capable of an authority, refuses, then he is committing ism. He is committing something wrong. So if people find someone who is more capable and qualified and they come to him, he has no way except to listen to them and do the job, as was done by Abu Bakr, by Umar, Usman, Ali and many others. Nothing wrong in doing that. But if you from day one, when you are in high school, think, listen, I want to become president of the country, so I should make a gang of my students, then a party of mine, and ultimately grab power. That is what Islam does not want at all. Now, your two questions are linked together. Firstly, those people who use Islam to legitimize their wrongs are wrong. If some rulers who are dictators and hereditary kings, wherever they may be, they think if they have implemented the cutting of hands, then their rule is justified, they are wrong. Islamically, their rule is not legitimate at all. Now, when we talk about Muslim countries, whether in the North Africa or anywhere else, you see, yes, we cannot generalize Islam on behavior of people. Definitely, not only in North Africa, but in the whole of Muslim world, not for 50 years, but for over 200 years, there has been a calculated effort on the part of non-Muslims as well as Muslims. Muslims who found their political power has declined. They cannot assert themselves. They took an easy way out. Easy way out was, I keep my deen to these rituals and do as dunya wants from me. So I balance the both and succeed. This division has existed not for 50 years, but for centuries with Muslims. What is required from all of you is to go to the Quran and find out, does the Quran want this division? Or the Quran says your economy must be halal, your culture must be halal, your language must be halal, your vision must be halal. What you want to see, what you want to hear, what you want to earn, all those are to be halal. Then where is the division of deen and dunya? Everything. Your dress, hadith says, a person comes and raises his hand and says, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, while the dress he is wearing is haram. The food he has taken is haram. What he is doing? Islam means integration. Islam means when you are putting your economic, political, social, cultural activity under one single umbrella of Allah's authority. And that is what Muslims have abandoned. They think certain powerful countries of the world are their guarantors for their life. If those countries withdraw, they will fall back to Stone Age. They don't believe in Allah at all. They don't believe in integration. They don't believe that they have to come forward and develop their own resources. They depend mostly on the foreign aid. Therefore, it's not a phenomenon of 5 decades, it's a matter of centuries. And we can break the ice only when people who are young, people who are aware of these conspiracies and strategies, people who are aware of what they are seeing with their open eyes around themselves, they understand, develop a strategy and bring change in society. And you are the people who will do that, no one else.